Down Talk with LT, episode 39. This episode's brought to you by Gwop.com. This episode's also brought to you by The Infatuation and also brought to you by Anchor. Download both of those apps, the Infatuation app and the Anchor app on iOS. No need to get into the sponsors. If you download this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all that shit, you've already heard the sponsors in the beginning of the episode. I'm not going to repeat it for YouTube. I don't have the sponsors paying the YouTube money at this point, so a shout out is good enough. I would deem that good enough because, hey, that is on the house at this point. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to get into on this episode, where do we want to start? Probably this fucking video because this shit is trippy. What kind of modern day haircuts are these? Like some barbers are taking this shit to the next fucking level. And I'm gonna just play the video so y'all can see it. Like, what? How is that sparked? Where is that hanging from? Like, how is it? Like, so much questions. What? That shit is wild. You got Bob Marley in the hair, but it's like, how is that blunt smoking? Like, I'm still stuck on that. Like, how is the blunt lit and the smoking? The man comes there and sparks it with the lighter. It stays lit. It's like, how is it being? Like, I don't know. So many questions, man. So many questions with that hairstyle, but these barbers are getting absolutely crazy with their hair. Like the designs and the artistry in the work is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? That shit is like crazy. And you have men getting all sorts of weaves and all sorts of crazy shit. Bald niggas getting their hair back with all sorts of barber tricks and stunts. And I'm not saying that nigga in that video had no hair and shit and he had barber tricks. I'm not saying that because I don't know. That looked like probably his real hair and shit. But other folks have, you know, all sorts of fucking barber tricks and stunts to get back their hair because their hair is gone and they're just bald. So they're doing all sorts. Like, barbers are getting crazy now. It's not just girls getting wigs and shit sewn into their head and glued in and shit. It's niggas too nowadays, and the shit is crazy. I don't know, man. It is what it is. People want to do that. People want to do that. No judgment. I feel like I've always felt like looking good was a choice. It's not really. Yeah, you get your basics, your God-given basics, and some people just generally just randomly just look better than others. They don't have to put too much work into their look, but looking good is definitely how you prepare yourself, how you groom yourself, how you dress, how you. There's a bunch of things that I see going into looking good. It's an effort thing. You can look good, like someone that puts a lot of effort could look better than somebody that just like their basic generic form looks better than them just off of the effort that they give in and they put into themselves. Because some people look like their base form would be good, but they don't put any work into themselves, so they look like shit. So looking good is a choice, and that's people want to do that. They want to hair shit. Like, this is off topic from the little video that we seen because that's creative. That's not like rejuvenating hair. But if someone wants to do some shit like that, then it's it is what it is, man. People got to do that. The only thing I recommend against is that Beijing shit, like when your hair is leaking and you see black shit just dripping from your head top. Like, that's scourge. Shouldn't be doing them ones. Like, that is where the line gets drawn. That's where there's a little bit of kind of judgment where people just, you know what I mean? But anything else, it is what it is. You're just trying to look as good as you possibly can. Those haircuts are dope, though. Those styles and the artistry that is in the modern haircuts is pretty dope. All right, let's get into our second video. We got this shit is bullshit. I heard this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who does this? Like, these cops is just ridiculous. And the stuff that Nipsey Hussle was doing with his community, and even with bringing the cops together and trying to get better justice reform and all that shit, working with them in the game and all sorts of shit he was doing when he was alive. For the LAPD to disrespect his name, because there was a lot of cops out there showing love to Nipsey. There was a lot of cops out there like honoring his name throughout his funeral, throughout the memorial vigil and all that shit. There was legit cops showing love, but these individuals from the LAPD in this video that I'm about to play are making all sorts of stupid, disparaging comments. So let's listen to these dumbass motherfuckers real quick. Yo.
Wow. Disrespectful. Now there's even more audio where they're talking about pulling out M16s on people in the crowd and disrespecting Nipsey's mom. You guys watch this.
Because if they do, things will quiet down. If they go in there and enforce anything, they'll turn on them like dogs. Well, then they can whip out the M16s and shoot them down like dogs. Nipsey Hussle's mom looks a lot like a male.
Oh, that's fucked up. Wow.
Dad looks a lot like a female, so go figure.
Wow.
I haven't seen any of them. And they're showing his mom and dad. 11, they're showing highlights from the funeral. No, I'm on channel 11 and they're not showing any fucking highlights. Showing his dad right now, or his brother right now, who's up there. They're on the helicopter feed showing the fucking traffic back up.
What I just don't understand is like, why these niggas mad? Why they hating? Why they talking shit? Why they being racist and the niggers smell when they this and that? Like, why they disrespecting the man's mom, his dad? Like, what the fuck?
Man, what the fuck is you talking about?
What the fuck was that?
I'm sorry, I don't even understand that. I'm trying to comprehend why or what the fuck the need was to do that or how that conversation even came about to be recorded and put out there. But what the fuck were these motherfuckers thinking? Like, who just disrespects the dead, disrespects the family for no apparent reason? Why? Because he's getting love around the globe. And you're miserable at your job, so that's what you're doing. I feel like people have to find a better way to cope with their misery at their fucking jobs. Like, do something on the side, get a better hobby to make you happy instead of doing like that type of shit like that. If you're like, I don't know, that shit's whack. That shit is whack.
Fuck out of here.
I'd actually be happier to find out that shit was fake and that was fake audio and those weren't really cops, but that's a legit audio. What? These guys are trash. Man, there's trash everywhere. It is what it is. All right, so going on to the next news report we got here. We got Jim Jones gets 2 years probation and a $1,500 fine for weapons and drugs charges in a case in Georgia. Okay, so people were hating on Jim Jones on the internet, of course. Dumbasses on the internet, dumbasses on YouTube, dumbasses on Twitter, dumbasses everywhere. Saying that he snitched. That's why he only got 2 years probation and this, that, and that, and he got caught with a gun and some drugs. He should have got more. Well, people don't understand. You don't know the specifics of the case. First of all, shut the fuck up. Bring research before you start bringing out snitch allegations. All sorts of snitch disclosure would be public, so you can get the paperwork if he did indeed snitched. Snitch on who? He was in the state of Georgia. He was not in New York. When you get caught with guns or shit like that in New York, and there's minimums and there's certain precedents that are set. So clearly you get there's mandatory jail time for generally when you see stars get caught with guns in New York. There's no escape. That's why people probably thought that, but they should have done some more research. It was in Georgia. Georgia has some stupid cases with niggas spending way more time than they deserve for drug charges generally, like weed. Had niggas spending way more time than they should in Georgia. But when it comes to the gun charges and the specific drug that it was some oxys or some shit. So if you look into the details and the way they handled that case, He didn't snitch nothing. Jim Jones is one of those rappers that I don't think he gets as much credit as he deserves. Yeah, if you were a Max B fan, I don't think Max B fans even try to hold that beef with Jimmy against him and still hold that malice. I feel like Max B fans let it go, and we understand that Max B's great and everything, but Jimmy also put in his work too. Jimmy, if it wasn't for Jim Jones, there would be no love in hip hop. And people got to recognize that. A lot of your favorite stars like Cardi and certain other people got big on Love and Hip Hop. Cardi B would have probably been big regardless without Love and Hip Hop. She had a pretty big Instagram following, and she was a star to begin with. So I'm not going to say Cardi B. But generally, a lot of stars that came up out of Love and Hip Hop, and the reason why these shows are popping is because of Jim Jones. Jim Jones and his family and Yandy and a certain other people were instrumental in the whole starting of Love and Hip Hop. It could have just been their whole reality show, and it didn't have to be a Love and Hip Hop based show, but they agreed to make it what it is. So if it wasn't for Jim Jones and the initial Love and Hip Hop New York, there would not be Love and Hip Hop as it exists with Miami, Hollywood, Atlanta, New York, all of the Love and Hip Hops. It all started with Jim Jones. So beyond his Dipset days and all the work he put in with Dipset and his solo albums, he's also responsible for the conglomerate, which is now Love and Hip Hop. So y'all haters calling Jimmy a snitch, and need to put some respect on his name. I don't know about his full past history, because I'm not even delving into his full past history. I'm not even getting into the. I'm not talking. Nah, fuck that. I don't know nothing about it. I ain't speaking on it. You can't just be calling people. You can't be just shitting on people's names and trying to run it through the internet like that and calling them snitch. Like 6ix9ine is a snitch. That is a fucking snitch. That's different. The disclosure's out. The paperwork's out. Everything is cleared. Okay, let's get to 6ix9ine. Speaking about snitch. 6ix9ine. Okay, so 6ix9ine is, you know what? When I do my reports, let me always just pull up the fucking articles. No mistakes out this bitch. Get everything correct when I pull up the articles, because sometimes, I said the last podcast, sometimes the terminology, pause, especially after smoking a couple of blunts and drinking a little bit, and the memory ain't always there. So the 6ix9ine update. 6ix9ine is to be released. Time served. All the charges are going to be dropped as soon as all pending co-defendants plead out their case before trial. 6ix9ine and his lawyer do not want to go to trial because then it will kind of complicate the case. Nonetheless, he will be released with time served in the near future. We don't have a date currently, but as it stands right now, it's in the near future. 6ix9ine, a lot of people say this era will support 6ix9ine and he'll find a way to have a career and he'll find a way to be entertaining and have a spin-off of it and be like, the violence in the street needs to stop and the streets ain't real and blah, 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 whatever type of message he tries to push. Even if he has some sort of validity and truth to anything that he says, it doesn't matter. You are a snitch, and that is not popping in hip hop. You put niggas behind bars, and you are gonna walk free. Nobody's playing that. Nobody's playing that.
Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
I definitely don't. I don't know. I might be in the minority with this one. I might really be in the minority in thinking that he won't have the same type of career success that he had before. I feel like when he first comes out, he'll do a little bit of shows. He'll have a little bit of success because the fame's still there. The clout's still there. He'll find some way to make it entertaining. But after that first 6 months of him being out, I see him just withering away. I feel like it'll just slowly start dying down and dying down. He won't be able to go much places. I don't think it's going to work out for him in that regard. His career will never be the same. Ever. He had the buck and he dropped it. But he was playing a very dangerous game with everything he was doing in the first place. It's not like he was playing it safe. He was like doing some unprecedented shit. But that's just what happens. And I said it before in previous previous podcasts, that I feel like a lot of his antics and a lot of his hood shit and a lot of his gangster shit and a lot of his attention, clout seeking, clout chasing and shit, I feel like a lot of that was stemmed off of trying to reinvent himself and reintroduce himself to the public and just kind of make so much noise for doing his antics and his other shit that people will forget about the pedophile case and the rape case and with the 14-year-old girl and all that. He didn't have sex with her, but it was a case, and it really had a negative stigma. And certain rappers that had beef with him at the time were calling him a rapist. And people forget when Tekashi first started buzzing, because if you weren't one of those people that caught him in the early stages and you're one of those people that caught him mainstream, you forget that when he first came out, the whole stigma that was holding his career back and hanging over his career and having everyone diss him was the fact that he had this rape case and this whole pedophile sting and this whole thing above his head, like a dark cloud over his head of just pedophilia. So he had to escape that, and he chose the wrong way and the wrong path to escape that, because he escaped that to go into another trap and get into this nasty situation of chronic snitching that's going on right now. It's filthy out here. It's filthy. All right, before I wrap up this episode, let me get into a couple of quick basketball predictions. It would have been better if I got these playoff predictions before the playoffs started. I got it on my last show, Ball Talk Daily, but the seeds kind of switched since I did the playoff predictions. The matchups aren't quite the same, so let me just pull out these matchups right now. And I know the Raptors are down 1-0 to the Magic because Kyle Lowry put up a donut. Yeah, I kind of defended him a little bit on Twitter, but really and truly it was Kyle Lowry's fault. They lost that game. Majority of the fault I'll give to him. Some of the fault I would give to Nick Nurse by not starting Serge Ibaka. I feel like Serge Ibaka is better in the starting lineup than Marc Gasol. I would take Marc Gasol, put him on the bench. Yeah, I got the Raptors in 6 nonetheless. I don't think the Magic, as much as the Magic upset them in Game 1, that was a game-winning shot. I see Kawhi making more of a imprint on the next game, and Pascal Siakam, one of the most improved players in the NBA, I feel like he's going to go off too. And especially if they put Serge Ibaka in that starting lineup, it's a wrap. They'll win in 5. But I got them right now winning that in 6. The Bucks in 4. Blake Griffin's injured. Nothing to talk about. Giannis dominating these bitch-ass niggas. Get this fuck out of here. Bucks in 4. Sixers and Nets. I don't know what the fuck happened with the Sixers. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do with Ben Simmons. I feel like Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler are going to pick. Jimmy Butler went off the first game. I feel like Jimmy Butler's going to be consistent throughout the series. Joel Embiid's going to pick it up and dominate. Tobias Harris is going to hit some three. They're going to get it together. I got the Sixers in 6. Regardless of that bad, shaky start. And if they don't get it together, that team is all the way fucked up next year, and so much people aren't going to be there. Jimmy Butler will probably be a Laker. All right, moving on. We got the Celtics and the Pacers. I got the Celtics in 5. The Pacers would have had a chance if they had Victor Oladipo, but no Victor Oladipo, no chance. Celtics getting these niggas the fuck up out of here. Kyrie is playing Kyrie playoff basketball. He was getting torched early in the game with some bad defense, but once they figured it out and, he picked his spots better on defense, can't really handle Kyrie in the playoffs. Nobody in the East is really going to handle Kyrie in the playoffs. It's going to be tough for them to take out Boston. I got Boston winning that in 5. Did I already say that? Boston in 5. All right, now to the West. We got Golden State versus the Clippers. That's an obvious sweep. You can suspend Kevin Durant for the rest of the series. It don't matter. That's a battery. That's a sweep. You got the Clippers fucked out of here. We got the Nuggets and we got the Spurs, a 2 and a 7 seed. What a disappointment, because the Nuggets are one of the weaker 2 seeds in the West in recent history. The Spurs aren't even the greatest team, but I got the Spurs winning that shit in 6, possibly 5. I'm going to say 6 to be safe. I feel like Denver can pull out certain wins out of nowhere. The Portland Trailblazers are up 1-0 over OKC. I didn't anticipate that. I thought they were going to get swept. Nonetheless, OKC, Paul George's shoulder is kind of fucking him up with his three-point shooting, and they look like they did last year in the playoffs, just folding. But they're not going to do that. They're going to step it up. They're going to show what they did in the regular season. I got OKC winning that shit in 6. Russell Westbrook, Paul George going to get the job done. Paul George needs to step up because Russell Westbrook didn't play that bad last game. It was just Paul George missing too many threes. Yeah, I got OKC winning that in 6. And who else we got? We got the Rockets and we got the Jazz. I got the Rockets sweeping the Jazz. The Jazz will be lucky to win one to keep it a buck. I got them sweeping them just like Golden State sweeping the Clippers. The Rockets and the Warriors are, to me, the 3 best teams in the playoffs is the Warriors, the Bucks, and the Rockets. I feel like they're cleanly at the top, and it's not even close. Maybe the Celtics after, because the Raptors and the Sixers are disappointing me. Even if they win the series the way I predicted, losing those first games, it's like, it just shows that you're not all the way rounded, you're not all the way strong, you're not all the way reliable. You lose game 1 on your home court in the first round in the playoffs. Like that's not championship pedigree right there. And I thought the Raptors would do better than this. I don't think I gave my disclaimer for everybody to hit that subscribe button. Don't just subscribe, because when a lot of people they like the podcast Blunt Talk with LT. So what they do is they search Blunt Talk with LT, and then boom, the page comes up, and they subscribe to the Blunt Talk with LT page. But that's just the page with the small clips. You get small clips and segments on the Blunt Talk with LT page. You get the full episodes on the Stack Gwop page. So make sure that you subscribe to Stack Gwop. Get the full episodes, and you get them freshly when they drop on StackGwop.com, and you have an inventory to anything that was made by Stack Gwop Entertainment on StackGwop.com. You can shop for your merch on StackGwop.com. Use the promo code Blunt Talk for 10% off. Make sure the B on Blunt Talk is capital. Make sure the T on Talk is capital, and 10% off all apparel on StackGwop.com. Yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell for notifications for every episode that comes out. I don't want to be destroying people's timelines on Twitter and Facebook trying to promote these shits. Just make sure you hit that bell on YouTube. Yeah, subscribe to that Blunt Talk with LT page as well. Just because it's a short clips page doesn't mean you got to subscribe. Got to subscribe to that too if you just watch the whole episodes, or if you download the episodes. You got to subscribe to everything. We building out here. We have listeners all over the U.S. We have listeners in Canada. Leave comments. Communicate with the people, because people want to talk and want to interact. There's just not enough comments being left on certain episodes or clips for people to have those type of discussions. There's people from all sorts of places that watch Blunt Talk with LT. So fans, interact, subscribe, share the Blunt Talk with LT channel, share Stack Gwop channel. Share the podcast. Put people on, because this podcast is going to be around for a while, and it's going to keep growing, and it's going to improve incrementally, episode by episode, week by week. We out here. That's it. We're going to wrap it up. StackGwop.com. Yerp.